meaningful change. And whereas we need members of council to be general members on the committee. And whereas we need to decide who these people are going to be it resolved that council elect blank, 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 and blank to sit on the bursary committee. Moved by Julia. Did you wear your orange shirt yesterday? Newcomb. Seconded by Allison. I definitely did. Wong. Do we have an opening, Director Newcomb?
Yes. Julia Newcomb, Director of Social Issues. I apologize. The Be It Resolved statement is supposed to say sit on the Equity Committee and not the Bursary Committee. So apologies for my lack of proofreading there. So the Equity Committee is a group of students made up of 5 representatives from council and also 6 hired members that I hired in the the spring term, including a environmental representative, accessibility representative, and some other representatives, and we work towards creating equity in the engineering society. Meetings are generally once a week on the weekends for about an hour, where we have discussions about ways that we can improve equity within the engineering society, and we kind of run different events and initiatives to try and promote equity. So it's a really great team, and we do a lot of really amazing stuff, and I really hope people are excited to join us this year.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Director Newcomb. Before I entertain any nominations, does anyone have any questions about the nature of the committee for Director Newcomb? If you could please put your name in the speakers queue now, that would be great. We'll give it a couple of seconds. Cool. Seeing none right now, I'll move into nominations. So if you could please put your name in the speakers queue. If you would like to nominate someone else, that would be lovely. Or nominate yourself as well. I'll accept those as well. Director Wright.
Thomas Wright, Director of Governance. I nominate Miranda Bungard.
Do we have a do we have a seconder, and also is that seen as friendly?
I respectfully decline as well. Thank you.
Okay. All good. Still waiting for some more people in the speakers queue. Do you have anybody in mind? Senator Matthews.
Peter Matthews, Senior Senator. I nominate Julia Takamoto.
You have a seconder, and is
Second.
that seen as friendly? So we have a seconder. Is that seen as friendly?
I respectfully decline.
Sorry, point of information. Thomas Wright, Director of Governance. This may have already been brought up, but I was wondering if the position is open to non-voting members.
Do we direct response?
Direct response, Julia Newcomb, Director of Social Issues. I believe the position is only open to voting members this year.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Director Newcomb, you had a nomination.
Julia Newcomb, Director of Social Issues. I nominate David Hofskin.
Do you have a seconder? Is
Second.
that awesome? Do we? Is that seen as friendly?
I accept.
Awesome. I will give it a bit more time. Oh, Director Wright, do you have a nomination?
Thomas Wright, Director of Governance. I nominate Monica Natterer.
Is that seen as friendly? And do we have a seconder?
Julia Newcomb,
second.
Director of Social. Yeah. Second.
Awesome. Is that seen as friendly? Monica?
I accept.
Awesome. President Lee.
Spencer Lee, President. I nominate Peter Matthews.
I respectfully decline.
All right. Senator Matthews.
Peter Matthews, Senior Senator. I nominate both Morgan Sherwin and Evan Ray.
Awesome.
Second.
Are those seen as friendly?
Morgan Sherwin, I respectfully decline.
Okay.
Respectfully decline.
Okay. President Takimoto.
I was gonna nominate. I was gonna nominate the same people. So
That's all good. That's all good. Director Wright.
Thomas Wright, Director of Governance. I nominate David Fliss.
Do you have a seconder?
I'll second.
Seconded.
Do we have? Is that seen as friendly, David?
I respectfully decline.
Okay.
Point of information. Thomas Wright, Director of Governance. I was wondering if the committee has to have at least 5 members or if there's a specific cap or minimum on membership.
Point of order. That's not a point of information. That's a question.
Point of order. I'm Thomas Wright, Director of Governance. I'm asking information pertinent to the motion. I can double check that.
Julia, do you have an answer to that?
Julia Newcomb, Director of Social Issues. I'm sorry, Thomas, what was the question again?
Thomas Wright, Director of Governance. I would like to know if the position is open to more than or less than 5 members if necessary, like if there's a minimum or maximum on the membership of the committee.
Julia Newcomb, Director of Social Issues. Bylaw states exactly 5, but I can bring up this motion again next council.
Okay. I need just quick clarification because if we are only nominating 2 members this week, do we need to motion to split up to split up this motion into a specific motion to elect 2 members and then 3 members next week? That's a clarification for Thomas.
Point of information, Thomas Wright. We can elect 2 members now and 3 at the next council.
Okay. Okay. Then seeing no other, nothing else in the speakers queue, I guess we will move on to the vote. These are all votes of confidence. So everyone has 2 votes.
Point of order. Are there any, or there should be questions for the nominees?
Right. Yes, there should be questions. So I guess I'll take the speakers queue now will be questions as well. But first, Director Newcomb, do you have a question for the nominees?
Director Julia Newcomb, Director of Social Issues. Yes, I do have a question. The question is, equity team meetings usually have different topics. If you were to host a meeting on a specific topic of equity, why would you choose that area of equity and what will we discuss?
Awesome. Thank you for the question. Let's start off with Monica. Also, each nominee will have 45 seconds to answer each, but I'll be timing. So go for it.
Okay, I'm really sorry. Do I have to say my position first? This is my first time.
Oh, no. You can just answer the question. You're all good.
Okay, and just to clarify, do you mean like an example of one meeting?
Yes. A discussion topic for one meeting and why.
Okay, so I think for a meeting, if I were to just go on the fly, I would do one surrounding mental health, especially because we're completely online this year. So I would want to do something involved with that and how it would relate to equity. I don't know. I just think that would be a cool topic to start with and see how we could somehow relate it to equity for all students this year, because it's important to all of us, obviously, as we're completely online. So it's important to keep that in mind so that we can all kind of make it through this year.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Let's go on to David.
Great. So if I was going to host a meeting, I would like to discuss barriers that exist, like within EngSoc, like things that stop people from being able to participate fully. So one of the things I think would be a good way to guide these discussions is looking at what's in Erased by FEAS, because there's tons of posts in there where people talk about how they weren't able to participate fully, but because of like some of these factors that really shouldn't have mattered. So I'd like to discuss like what barriers exist now and what we can do to try and eliminate these so that everyone can feel free to participate and so that everyone can feel welcome here.
Awesome. Thank you very much. President Lee, you have a question.
Spencer Lee, President. Yeah, I do have a question. Within the equity team, there are different categories of equity, and different members might think it's more important to tackle different parts of it. And even within certain decisions, there might be people with different opinions on what direction the committee should go. How would you compromise and also support your team members in a disagreement?
Awesome. Thank you for the question. Let's start off this time with David.
Right, so I think a good thing to do is just come into all these discussions with an open mind and like respect for the other people you're working with. Because I imagine like everyone has the same goal in this committee. It's like we want to make our faculty and our society better. We want it to be more accessible for everyone. So I think if we start with that common goal, then even when there are disagreements, it's when we have that mutual respect, I think it's easier to deal with those things. I think a lot of the times, like when we're talking about equity, it doesn't have to be a choice between certain groups. Because like when you're trying to make your society more equitable, it works out that this benefits everyone. So I don't know that those sorts of
That's time. Thank you very much. Moving on to Monica.
First of all, I agree with David. Obviously, I think there should be mutual respect, no matter what issue you're talking about or concerned with. But then also, simply put, I think you should be checking in with everyone that's involved. Obviously, it's an equity committee, so that's kind of like a given, but definitely checking in with everyone and making sure you're following through and getting everyone's opinion, which is kind of like acting on that concept of mutual respect and everyone included.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Seeing no other people in the speakers queue, Dr. Newcomb, do you have any more questions?
No, I do not.
Awesome. So we'll move on to the vote. And again, reminder, vote of confidence, everyone has 2 votes.
Oh, point of order. I don't know if everyone else got that poll, but do we not have a vote of confidence before moving to the motion, to passing the motion?
Point of information, Thomas Wright, Director of Governance, that was my bad. I can relaunch the poll once the vote is done.
Also, point of order, sorry, Spencer Lee, President, point of order. Zaid, for those that might not have been here last time, how do we show our vote of confidence?
So a vote of confidence essentially means that you have that vote for that person, so you either trust them in that position or not. So if you trust somebody in the position, then you will just say yes, and if you don't, then you just say no. But it's possible to have both of them have these positions. So a vote of confidence is go for it.
Sorry, point of order. I meant like, where do you want us to vote? And like, how do you want us to vote?
Oh, are you doing the poll, Thomas, or are we doing it in the speakers queue again?
Point of information, Thomas Wright, Director of Governance. We're doing it in the speakers queue document. There is a small table underneath the speakers queue table for motion 3. Put a character next to the name if you have confidence that they can fulfill the duties of the equity committee.
Awesome. So yes, put a Y or an N in that little table in the speakers queue right under their names. If one could do it for both, that'd be awesome because everyone has 2 votes. All right. Yep. Both nominees have been elected. Do we have a closing from Director Newcomb?
We do. Thank you all so much for putting your names forward today, and I'm really excited to work with you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. All right. So whereas the equity team is amazing, And whereas the equity team is amazing and awesome because it creates meaningful change, and whereas we need members of council to be general members on the committee, and whereas we need to decide who these people are going to be, it resolved that council elect David Hoskin and Monica Natterer to sit on the equity team. My bad. Moved by Julia. Did you wear your orange shirt yesterday? Newcomb. Seconded by Allison. I definitely did. Wong. If you could all please vote now when the poll comes up. Awesome. Cool. Motion passes. All right. So moving on to motion 4. Whereas we need to include EDI-specific questions in interviews to evaluate how senior leadership roles in EngSoc will seek to evaluate EDI principles in their roles, and whereas it's written in our EDI action plan. Be it resolved that council approve the changes made to policy section Gamma B as seen in appendix EDI hiring question. Moved by Alex, we love EDI, Coach Fitzialis. Moved by Craig, we love interviews, Maslin. Do we have an opening, Vice President, Coach Fitzialis?
Yes. Alex Kosh-Fitzialis, Vice President of Student Affairs. So really the goal behind this motion is to introduce an EDI question to higher level EngSoc interviews in order to actually understand if applicants are dedicated to making change within EDI and EngSoc. And then also placing EDI in the forefront of their minds when applying for these positions. So this was also, as mentioned in the motion, presented in our EDI action plan. And I would love to see this motion pass to improve EDI within society. And that is all I have to say.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Vice President Coach Fitzialis. Do we have any questions? If you could please put your name in the speakers queue now, if you do. All right. Oh, someone. Matthew Green, you have a question.
Matthew Green, Side 21 AMS representative. I think that it's more of a statement as opposed to a question. I think you should make interviewees define the difference between equality and equity. Just an idea.
Can you repeat that? I actually didn't hear. Sorry.
I think the interviewer could make interviewees define the difference between equality and equity.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Alex Kosh-Fitzialis, Vice President of Student Affairs. I like that suggestion a lot, so I will write that down. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, well, seeing no other questions or discussion on the motion, we'll move to a vote. All right, motion passes. Motion 5 has been moved. So we're going to be skipping that. So we'll be moving on to motion 6. Whereas bylaw related to year executives is outdated, and whereas some duties of year executive members are unclear and need to be updated, be it resolved that council approve the changes to bylaw 5, section C, as seen in its first reading in appendix year exec is best. Moved by Peter, follow QueensEng22 on Instagram, nice plug, Matthews. Seconded by Selma, Side 22 has the best memes, Ibrahim. Do we have an opening, Senator Matthews?
Peter Matthews, Senior Senator. Actually worked on this motion last year with Melissa Young, and then COVID happened, and Melissa graduated. So Salma helped me finish up everything with this motion, and we are bringing it now. Basically, this doesn't really change anything about year executives or what they're doing. This just essentially renames a few of the positions and updates the description of the position in bylaw to better reflect the current practices of year executives, and also hopefully provide a bit more clarity to year exec members on what they should actually be doing.
Awesome. Thank you for that opening. Director Wright, you have a question.
Thomas Wright, Director of Governance. I notice that in the appendix, third and fourth year faculty board positions are specified as third and fourth year, whereas second and first year are not. Is this intentional, or was this an omission?
Direct response, Peter Matthews, Senior Senator. Allow me to take a quick look. So the first year is actually the faculty board and bed fund representative. So it sort of has its own separate title. In terms of second year, the fact that it's called the faculty board representative and not the second year faculty board representative was, yes, I believe it's an omission. Oh, and I believe, is the third year faculty board representative accidentally called the fourth year faculty board representative as well? Though that is a typo, which if I remember our like bylaw correctly, it can just be changed without having to actually like motion to change the bylaw or amend it, because it's a typo and does not affect the meaning of the motion.
Right. We can just fix that. We can just fix that. Awesome.
Thank you.
Great. Seeing no other questions or discussion on the motion, let's move to the vote. Or do we have a closing, Senator Matthews?
Peter Matthews, Senior Senator, no closing.
Awesome, thank you. Now we can move to the vote. Awesome, motion passes. Thank you very much. All right, so that's actually all we have for new business because, or is it? Let me just double check. Yes, it is all we have for new business, just double checking. So now we'll move on to the executive reports. President Lee, you're up.
Yes, sorry, Spencer Lee, President, Bonsoir Council. So things I've done in the last couple weeks, I attended AMS Assembly, and that was pretty interesting, but I'm sure you'll get more about that in like the AMS Assembly report. We presented to ASCO about OEC. I'm sure Alex will talk more about this as well. This weekend, I had a international conference because we wanted to see how other schools and like international organizations ran their conference to see if we could take anything away from that. And it was challenging. That's a picture of me up at 4 a.m. Because of that conference. Things I'll be doing for the next bit, looking to hire an OC. We had our LGBTQ working group. Oh, yeah, that's another thing on the LGBTQ plus working group thing. Last time I brought it up, somebody had a question if it was open to join for anyone. Yes, it is. Just send me a message and I'll add you to the group. So if you're interested in that, let me know. More about that is just kind of like different LGBTQ plus focused groups on campus are in a working group with certain like student leaders to see what change we can work together to bring to Queens. So it is not just engineering thing, it is affecting like Queens overall. Yeah, that's everything. And as always, if you have any questions, please reach out. I'm available most days.
Awesome, thank you very much, Spencer. Moving on to the Vice President of Operations, Vice President Zirkney. He's not here. Very sorry to hear about his dog. Would either President Lee or Vice President Coach Fitzsialis like to give his report for him?
Sure. Spencer Lee, President. Yeah, I can give his update. He's been working to kind of finalize and close up Science Quest payroll stuff, and then also working on the budget with Salma. So shout out to Salma. And then also working alongside the like services to go about like how how is each service going to operate given in like online winter semester. And then so looking over the next 2 weeks, I believe he's going to start working on that audit with Salma. So that's probably going to take up quite a lot of time. I hope it's not too overwhelming for those two. And I think like administrative tasks, so payments, like looking through finance, and probably also if like there's any revisions of the budget that needs to be done because we are pushing the budget. I think that's everything.
Awesome. Thank you, President Lee.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. So next we'll move on to the Vice President Student Affairs, Vice President Coach Fitzsialis.
Hello, Alex Kosh-Fitzsialis, Vice President Student Affairs. So over the past it's kind of been less than 2 weeks, but over that span, we did some bursary chair hiring with Julia. That was successful. Doing some gender and engineering panel mentor hiring, and all our mentors are hired now, so that's very exciting. For the AMS Sustainable Action Fund Committee, I attended one of those meetings. That was our first meeting. We did a clubs roundtable organized by Brian and our clubs officer Julia. So shout out to Jessica. So shout out to them because that was a really good job. This one was sad, but we had our ESCO teleconference, and we presented due to abdicating our hosting rights for 2021 for OEC, and then bidding for 2022 OEC instead, just because our 2021 year was not feasible. So we presented with Spencer and Carlos and Andrew, who are our past OEC co-chairs, and we did a good job in terms of our presentation. It was very thorough, things like that, and we got some hard questions from them, and were able to answer them. And then because of all the complications involved, we were denied those hosting rights. U of T, we were not informed this, but U of T basically had been given the go-ahead to be planning for 2022, so we were not, it was a miscommunication basically. But yes, we did that. Attended AMS assembly, and then also had roundtables for September with discipline club presidents and year exec presidents, which was always fun. And then wrote up some policy for EDI hiring. Questionnaire got approved. Yay, so happy. And then also a big thing was meeting with the first year team in Craig to organize a first year interview workshop, which is very nice. I like to hear it. It's good work on the first year team. And then finally getting in contact with Andrew Vassal and advisory board to start planning for a club's strat plan workshop, which is cool. In the next 2 weeks, continuing to organize training for gender and engineering mentors, since it's sometimes it can be sensitive material, so we want to make sure that they're trained properly for that. Looking into, it's not Safe Talks anymore, I'll be looking into the START Living Works training, but basically suicide prevention training and response. And then some other meetings, but one is meeting with Andrew to discuss a charitable foundation committee for our donations for EngSoc. And that is all for me. That is all.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So that's it for executive reports. Moving on to director reports with the Director of Academics.
Sweet. Hello, Nick Arnott, Director of Academics. My past week and a bit, summarized as briefly as I can. Had meetings with all of my head managers. EngLinks is doing quite well. They have workshops going up. Had their first formal first year and upper year workshops this past week. Both of them were very well received, so that's awesome to hear. And everything else on that front is pretty much going smoothly. They're working on some projects, which is exciting. Icons, we are really trying to figure out what to do with the year, or at least this semester, given that it's not looking incredibly likely that the faculty will give us access to the building, but fingers crossed on that front. Bed Fund has started to reach out to their each of the reps for each of the disciplines to get idea generation going, which is sweet. You may have heard some messaging around, there's a form going out for if you submitted an idea, you could win a $25 Starbucks gift card. So submit an idea on how you could use the Bed Fund to improve your discipline. Sweet. Advocacy side of things, did not go quite as I had anticipated. A couple things popped up after this was written. So in terms of the academic feedback network that I introduced at last council, I was under the impression that I had faculty approval. Turns out we'd miscommunicated, and that has since been rescinded. So that has hit a roadblock, so not quite where I'd wanted to be with that, but we're working on it. I met with all of the VPAs for the different disciplines, and we talked, had a good meeting, all of that good stuff. I attended AMS Academic Caucus with all of the other academic coordinators, had some good discussions, some good stuff, all of that. And also not included, because it happened after, we are looking into, since the feedback network is being postponed, we're looking into having some new feedback opportunities pop up, an event or forum, something along those lines, still in late idea generation phase, but once it's implemented, you'll all hear about it. So that will be pretty much the first point of my upcoming next 2 weeks, is following up with the feedback network. No longer probably going to be meeting with the undergrad chairs. That'll probably be meeting with the faculty to figure out our miscommunication and how we can move forward with that. Otherwise, EngLinks is keeping going. They got 4 upper year workshops coming up. So if you're in any of those courses, go to them. They've worked hard and they're all fantastic resources. And then the idea generation thing that I already talked about. Sweet, that's me. I hope you're all having a wonderful evening.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nick. Moving on to the Director of Communications. Is Arham here?
If not, I can give her report.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So Alex Kosh, Seattle's Vice President of Student Affairs. So Arham's been hard at work with the tea room, helping with promotional materials, since this year their marketing manager is Nada. So she's been doing that for them, doing a lot of graphic requests as usual. That's kind of what the job entails. Oh yes, she did some hiring for her photography team and will be doing hiring soon for videography and graphic design. And then she was on the panel for the gender and engineering panel. So thank you, Arham. And then she sent out the 2 LNGs from the past weeks. So what she'll be doing over the next 2 weeks, she will finish the hiring that she set out to do. And then Julia and her, as well as Alex McKinnon, have been working on this resource page for the EngSoc website. So she's gonna continue working on that and finalize the EngSoc logo competition that we sought out to do in the summer. And then another task that she has on the back end is redesigning the comm team website, because it did get wiped, which is unfortunate. But that is what she's been up to. And if you have any requests for graphics and things like that, make sure to email her, and her email is listed there. But yes, that is all.
Awesome. Thanks, Alex. Moving on to the Director of Clubs and Conferences.
Brian Seo, Director of Clubs and Conferences. I try to make it as brief as possible. So hi everyone, long time no see. Not so much since the last time we met, but finished meeting with a QJ. We have a meeting with QJ coming up to discuss a potential merger. We finished hiring for fall hiring for QEG, and we broke the news that everybody will be going online. So we'll be making adjustments as needed, but part of my summer portfolio was making contingency plans for going online, so it's going to be a seamless transition. Fall club roundtable happened on Monday, as Alex said, and onboarding went great. Lots of me talking and lots of clubs listening. And over the next 2 weeks, we're going to continue to work on the publicity campaign, both for the clubs and the conferences side of things. We're going to roll out improvement and amendments to the Club Fund Initiative, and we're going to have statics, etc. And start the club's manual, which will be kind of like a transition manual for the club's portfolio. And that's it for me. Hey Alexa, play Dreams by Fleetwood Mac.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Moving on to the Director of Design. Is Liam here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool.
Liam Murray, Director of Design. So I haven't really done much because it's kind of hard to deal with the design teams when they can't access the Bay. So I've kind of just been getting their re-ratification forms. So they all submitted them yesterday, and I'm going to review them, make sure that they can all run this year. Yeah, still kind of working on preparing for transitioning stuff. So I want to just make sure that I have updates every week so my lower knows what's going on. I also got feedback from some of the teams on the promotional video stuff. They're still submitting those. And I'm planning on running group workshops in like about a month. So I'm trying to get some feedback from the teams to see how they think we can run in the future. Yeah, that's my update.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Moving on to the Director of External Relations.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Roach Gunnar here, Director of External Relations. Nice to see you all again. Obviously, have been that long since the last one, so I haven't been up to much. But the outreach team, we interviewed a bunch of them, and we sent out the hiring email. So I think we have a decently sized team this year, which is always nice. Attended CFES this meeting last week. It was very long. We discussed the engineering competition, the Canadian one, mental health initiatives and sustainability goals, some stuff like that. It all seems to be pretty boilerplate on that end. Also attended September TC last Monday with ESCO, and like Alex said, we didn't get UFT's 2021 OC bid, which is unfortunate, but again, it was a lot of miscommunication. And now things that we'll be doing, assembling the full EngSoc team and having our first meeting. I was hoping that there would be Frosh here this council, but there's not. So I will be pushing that to the next council where I'll be hiring the Frosh and then really getting my EngSoc team started. It's a little bit late start for that, but that's all right. Working on fixing clean marketing, meeting with Alex Fitzsialis to discuss the organization of the BLM patches, distribution with outreach at some point, being an outreach meeting. So we got a few ideas already laid out there, and that's pretty much everything I got going on. Yep. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you so much. Moving on to the Director of Finance.
Hi, everyone. Selma Ibrahim, Director of Finance. So not much since last week, just working on keeping up with day-to-day tasks, keeping up with month ends and transactions, finalizing the operating budget with Ben, which unfortunately we couldn't do this time, but we will. You will see it next council. Just made sure Bank of EngSoc is working for people, that people are transitioning on it okay, and reviewed some more group budgets. So yeah, and for the next 2 weeks, I will be giving finance training, hopefully for the newly ratified clubs and conferences, more finance training with Ben for the service business managers, and continuing to transition groups and my finance officers onto the Bank of EngSoc. Hopefully I should be done by reviewing budgets by the end of the next 2 weeks. And yeah, finishing up just day-to-day transactions and stuff. And yeah, that's all.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Moving on to the Director of First Year. Is Rain here?
I can take over his report.
Yeah, for sure. Go for it.
Alex Kashvitz, Vice President of Student Affairs. He also had a town hall tonight for first years, like a first year town hall organized by the faculty. So that's why he's not here. So he's been very busy. So getting first years elected. So they weren't able to attend tonight, but he, I believe, has done that. So that is exciting. And then in terms of FREC events, it's really cute, but basically they did Bob Ross paint night together, and he's continuing to do that. So that went really well. He did a podcast, which was really cool, but he did a podcast with some prospective students and basically just trying to market Queen's Engineering. So they did a podcast series with him and Michelin Johnson. He was helping Thomas and Steve with interview workshops. So those are both of his team members. And oh yeah, we did that was what I talked about too. That was in my update as well, but that was very fun. Yeah, a lot of emails from first years. He's been talking about that. And then in the next coming weeks, more emails, and then some promotions, first year exec elections. Oh, I'm sorry, then I was mistaken. They have not happened yet, but he's getting there. Like, it's almost finished up. So yeah, he had a town hall. So that's why I'm not here. And then FIPCO hiring, and then the general stuff like meetings and statics, interview workshop is coming up, I think October 12th. Jacket council planning, some things need to be sorted, so he's gonna think about that. Oh my God, listening to Eeny Meeny on Spotify. Oy, oy, oy. Okay, that, and that's it. That is it. So, yay, Rain.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Moving on to the Director of Governance.
Hello, Council. So despite how it looks, don't worry, I'm not starting a podcast. Thomas Wright, Director of Governance. So what I've been doing over the past 9 days has mainly been, as Rain mentioned in his report, helping out with first-year elections. It says updating policy with the policy officers, but that is actually going to be over the next 2 weeks, just because I had to get some kinks worked out with my admin access on the website. Made some last minute changes to the old budget ever since Thanos snapped his fingers and half the director portfolios disappeared. I am also going to discuss council online with Zaid and how to improve it for all of you. Again, sorry, a lot of this was supposed to be in the past week, but school sort of got in the way, so that's getting pushed forward. But I did have my first meeting with elections team. Shout out to them. So we'll be getting some elections planning going very soon. And a little more of what I'll be doing over the next 2 weeks. Again, more elections planning, making improvements to last year's rules and adjusting for winter online. Once we get some first years elected, we'll be digging up an old guide to council and making a few adjustments for them and maybe doing a little presentation to help make them a little more comfortable. Regular static stuff for council and helping Rain plan jacket council, staying in, of course. And yeah, thanks everyone for bearing with me earlier. Still a lot of stuff to get used to, so I appreciate your patience. I hope everyone's been having a good week, and long may your big dib draw.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Moving on to the Director of Human Resources. Is Craig here? Take that.
Thought he was, but I can take it.
Awesome. Okay, thank you so much.
No worries. So Alex Koshetialis, Vice President of Student Affairs. Hello, everyone. So no report has been submitted, but based off of what I've been talking with Craig on, he is finished up Academy with Alex McKinnon. And he said there's 3 days away from uploading all the things, so that's good. And we'll email directors about that in the coming week. He's also been working on anti-oppression training and has been in the talks with Brian Frank to implement it into APSC 200. And then looking into the training conference for the fall. So expecting to be launched in approximately 2 weeks, so mid to end October. And right now they're kind of looking into keynote speakers and what they can do with that. And hopefully having a live portion, so there's some synchronous aspect to it, but a lot of it will be now online, so modules have been developed, which is really cool. But yeah, we wanted some interactivity with that, so that is good. And then he's also working on the feedback survey, which will be distributed after the conference. So that is what he's been working on.
Awesome.
And that is it.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the Director of Information Technology.
Hello, Alex McKinnon, Director of IT. So a few updates here. Alex mentioned that we're working with HR for Academy. That the timeline's a little bit slower than that. We're meeting Sunday to begin uploading things, hopefully in anticipation for usage pretty soon. I haven't introduced the Academy system yet to everyone because it's still sort of working out the kinks, but it is the idea behind it is that we'll be moving train-ins online this year because everything's online, and it makes train-ins easier for all of EngSoc. This past week, I've worked on the budget review stuff with the team. It's a little scary because my budget's the only one that hasn't really had anything cut. just prepping you all for next week, I guess. We're hiring our software development team members this weekend, I believe. So we'll have a software development team who will be working on some cool projects. We've arranged a alumni. Some of you may recognize him when I tell you about him, but he'll be advising the software development team that is working on a really exciting project we have coming up. I was working on SSL certificates this week for our website to keep it secure. It expires tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. And I've been in contact with ITS. I think I prematurely said there are no fires this week because ITS is not getting back to me, and we're required to have them issue our new certificate. I've given them a week and a half's notice. They usually do this in 2 days, so they're dropping the ball. So I may be up late tonight finding a solution for us, but we'll see. I'll report next council. Also, I wanted to say we had email issues on Monday. This is due to Microsoft services failing. This was after I got to write this report. Nothing on our end. It just all of Microsoft stopped working. So that's what the issue was there. Because our EngSoc email stuff went down as a result. And last, I guess things we're working over to the next 2 weeks. I'm going to put up a IT help desk knowledge base to funnel people's questions through. This is so that my team can help me answer any IT issues, gets things, we'll be able to answer people's questions better, keep track of them better, and hopefully faster. And a knowledge base, since we're introducing a lot of changes to IT, having knowledgeable articles for people to reference online will be super helpful, I think. Working with EngLinks a lot, I feel like they're one unpaid manager, but that's okay. We got to make sure that their stuff is working, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So
awesome. Thank you very much. Moving on to the Director of Internal Processes.
Okay, so Allison Wong, Director of Internal Processes. There hasn't been too much going on, I guess, since the last council meeting. So I'm still continuing to, I guess, collect EngSoc services documentation. I'm actually waiting on sending out a zip file still. I'm also basically trying to figure out, I guess, what I'm some of my tasks for the winter semester, since it will be online. So that's probably my biggest focus right now, as well as creating the EngSoc lounge requests to resume on-campus activities form. But that's basically all for me.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Moving on to the Director of Professional Development.
I don't believe Varnick is here. No.
Okay.
Spencer Lee, President. I'll give Varnick his report. Oh, let me just close that. So keeping on working with PD Connects, which is like the newsletter that goes out from the PD team, which is actually seeing quite a bit of reception, which is good. She's working at the moment to cover what her industry relations chair is doing. She didn't hire that just out of no interest. So she's trying to do that. She helped with the gender and engineering panel hiring. Let's see. I believe, yeah, she's still trying to hire her industry relations chair. So if anyone knows someone that wants to get involved with PD, I would highly recommend, and please spread that to your friends. And so yeah, that's what she'll be working over the next couple of weeks is working on that. And then also PD Connects, which is a constant thing. And then what's another thing she just said? Oh yeah, the resume review before the Engine Tech Fair. So for those of you that don't know, you can like send in your resume to PD it, to get reviewed. So that's a cool opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Moving on to the Director of Services.
Alrighty. So the last week, Andrew Kernan, Director of Services here. So the last few weeks, or I guess week, services, tax lead service, as well as Ben and Jay. The two big things that I've been working on are getting the tea room opening, which has been awesome. Thank God that worked out well. I've also been working with CEO on jacket fitting logistics, so they have moved all of their jacket fitting online, which has been a big undertaking for them, but they've done a really awesome job, so kudos to them. And then over the next few weeks, same issues last week. I have to do some stuff for Science Quest to get their head manager hired, bunch of HR and operational related things, and then as per usual, just statics and more statics. A lot of fun stuff. And that's about it on my end.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And last but not least, the Director of Social Issues.
Essentially, President Julia did have to dip out because she had an equity caucus at this time. So I'll give her a report for her as well. So for the last couple of weeks, quite a lot of hiring for Sustainability Committee, which is great because I know that's been trying to get off the ground for quite a while, like more than just this year. She has a new bursary chair. Obviously, she was making policy changes and trying to get people on the equity team, which came up at council today. And for the next couple of weeks, she's trying to work on some more policy changes to restructure like bursary committee, just to lighten the workload of like the Director of Social Issues portfolio, so that she can focus more on EDI stuff, and also so that like the what's it called? Oh yeah, the bursary committee can have like more accountability on who they give out bursaries to. So yeah, that's what Julie has done.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So yeah, that wraps up the director reports. So do we have any questions for the ED team? Right now I see no questions. So I'm going to give it a couple seconds and then we can just move on. Going once, going twice, and we're moving on. Okay, cool. Faculty board report. Who can give me the faculty board report?
I can give faculty board.
Thank you.
We haven't had faculty board since last council.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, there's nothing to report, like
awesome.
he said.
Okay. Thank you. Next is the Alma Mater Society report.
Yep, I can go ahead and do that. Evan Ray, Side 22 AMS rep. So in the beginning of the AMS assembly last week, last Thursday, President Dan Otter announced that as of last Thursday, there was one positive COVID-19 test in residence. That was early on in the week of the 21st. The Smith res is primarily being used for quarantining those students that test positive. The JDUC res is the backup to Smith res. He also announced that the university made the winter closure decision based on the thought that the second wave is coming. They wanted to make that decision early so that we were given lots of notice ahead of time compared to sort of this semester or in the spring initially when it was sort of all happening really fast. People wanted to know a lot earlier. He's also working on updating the AMS website to reflect some recent changes. The Vice President of Operations has been working on Kogrow and Walk Home, which are open in person. Tricolor, the Printing and Copying Center, and the Peer Support Center all open online this semester. Bus passes, because they are not automatically added to everyone's tuition this year, are available through the AMS if you would like them. And then in addition, the Vice President of Operations has been working with Queen Stukons and Walk Home to reduce their fees for this semester, for this year. The Vice President of University Affairs has been working through an orientation survey run by ORT, the Division of Student Affairs. They'll be released in the coming weeks. In addition to that, as part of SOAR, there's an orientation EDI working group chaired by a student board member, which will be making recommendations to SOAR by November 30th. They also introduced a Commissioner of Environmental Sustainability. The Queen's Sexual Violence Prevention and Response Task Force has published proposed amendments and revisions to the policy on sexual violence involving Queen students. Several of those documents can be seen on the Provost's website. There's also an anonymous form on the website if anyone would like to provide feedback. I encourage anyone to go and do that. A bunch of positions were ratified, including the Chief Electoral Officer, the Judicial Affairs Manager. The budgets for the coming year were approved. A lot of the budgets were prepared early in June, and so they were prepared with the thought that this year was going to be in person, so they were over budgeted a lot of things this year that will also be cut back throughout the year as things are canceled due to this online situation. There was an EDI and academic advocacy discussion, a good discussion on lots of the posts on the Instagram accounts such as AMS Exposed, Stolen by Smith, Erased by FEAS, centered around sort of course material being presented by instructors and other problems in orientation week, things like that. We had a good discussion on that. In addition to that, the ORT coordinator is looking to be prepared for a virtual, an in-person, or a hybrid orientation week for September 2021. They're not sure yet. They're also looking to develop a more visible de-leadering policy, as the current one is unclear. Finally, the AMS is developing a policy to fix issues brought to light again on the AMS Exposed Instagram page. They're also developing a compensation policy, which will compensate students for consultations regarding any initiatives that they are working to address from problems that are raised through those Instagram pages as well.
Awesome. Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to the Senate report.
Peter Matthews, Senior Senator. So there was a Senate meeting on Tuesday. The principal gave a fairly lengthy report. He spoke about COVID-19 a little bit. He mentioned how Kingston Police had said that most students were behaving well and following the provincial guidelines, but some had not been and had been partying and such. The principal also spoke about racism at Queen's University, but in regards to both COVID-19 and the issue of racism, he didn't really say anything that isn't already known. There's nothing new brought up. One thing that he did mention was Queen's global rankings. So the global university rankings came out, and Queen's didn't fare too well compared to other Canadian universities like Western and Waterloo. And Principal Dean was saying how he wants to develop a plan to improve Queen's global reputation. There was also quite a bit of discussion on the student code of conduct. As you have most likely heard, the university is going to start applying the code of conduct to off-campus behavior to students who are violating COVID-19 regulations. There have been some headlines about how Queen's may expel students for particularly egregious actions. There's quite a bit of discussion about whether the university should extend this sort of new approach to other sort of off-campus behaviors by students that go against the student code of conduct. And there was a lot of discussion about whether Queen's could use this code of conduct to expel students who engage in overtly or extremely racist behavior off campus. But with both those discussions, there was nothing conclusive as of yet, so I will continue to keep council posted with what Senate decides to do with both of those. And then finally, the principal will be releasing a report soon on his first 12 months as principal, and he has promised that his report will address many issues, including the issue of racism on campus. So everyone keep their eyes peeled for that.
Awesome. Thanks very much, Peter. Moving on to the ERB report.
Anne Broughton, Engineering Review Board Chair. We're starting hiring this coming week. So our applications are due on Tuesday, the 6th. So if you or anybody else you know would like to apply, please encourage them to do so. I think that's it.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Moving on to the advisory board report.
I can give this. Spencer Lee, president. Andrew couldn't make it. He had a work emergency. But we did have a board meeting. All of the services have been approved for their strategic plans and budgets. And let me think. Let me see what else he wrote. He's either planning on or he already has, but meeting with the subcommittees to discuss initiatives within EngSoc. And if you have any other thoughts about what advisory board can do, feel free to send him an email. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Spencer. Great. So next we'll move on to the club reports, and we'll start off with the EngFiz report, after which we will say nerds.
EngFiz.
Nerds.
Nerds.
Am I
Is there anyone to give the EngFiz report?
Oh, Nick?
We can just skip it.
Okay, Spencer Lee, EngFiz student. I don't believe anything big has happened. I think they might have had a couple game nights here and there, but mostly trying to figure out how to approach an online semester, I think.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. Moving on to the ECE report, after which we will say Zap.
ECE.
Hi, I'm Menard, ECE representative. Last Friday we had the ECE barbecue. This year it was virtual over Zoom. There wasn't very many people that attended Zoom. It was all online though. And nothing else is really underway except for looking at starting to get merch ready.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Moving on to mechanical, after which we will say gears.
Mechanical.
Gears.
Gears.
Do we have anyone to give the mechanical engineering report? Okay, cool. Moving on to...
Wait, I can give it.
You can go for it. Go for it.
Okay, Alex Kosh-Fitzgerald, Vice President of Student Affairs. So right now they're kind of in the planning phase, and they had their first meeting. They're still needing to get some representatives for voting members, but they had their first meeting as in exec last week, and then what they were doing is an online barbecue. I believe they were planning for that. And then some academic stuff. They were looking into an academic forum, and then they're starting to have bed fund discussions. And yeah, that was what I got from Sam.
Awesome. Great. Thank you very much. And last but not least, moving on to mining, after which we will say shafts. Okay.
Shafts.
Do we need to give the mining report? I'm going to presume no. Okay, cool. Next, we'll move on to the year reports then. Starting off with Sci 2 Wonderwall.
Sci 2 1.
Kate Lackman, president of Sci 21. Hi, everyone. We had our first meeting this week, which was super exciting. Brainstormed ideas for the year. Finally got to see everybody, which was nice. We're starting our budget now that we have some event ideas, so that should be coming soon. And we had a roundtable with Alex this week, which was really helpful. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Thanks, Kate. Moving on to Sci Chugga 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 2.
Sci 2 2.
Julia Takamoto, Sci22 Prez. Our only update is that we have our first event happening this Sunday at 8 p.m. We're doing a scribble. Everyone is invited if you want to come. There's a link on our Facebook somewhere. Feel free to show up. Yep.
Awesome.
That's
Thank
it.
you very much. Now, moving on to Sci, nobody likes you when you're 23.
David Fliss, Sci23 president. Yesterday we got to meet with Alex for
You missed
the
something. Sorry.
roundtable. Sorry?
Aren't they supposed to say side to? They said it.
Gosh.
Yeah, we got to meet with Alex yesterday for the president's roundtable. We're still looking at like backed up orders from merch last year because of coronavirus. And we got our AMS representative, Noah Bountenhouse, who's also going to be a voting member on council now. We were looking for that for a while. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So that pretty much covers everything. We will now move on to statements and questions by members. So we have somebody. So President Lee, you have a question.
Statement. Sorry, Spencer Lee, President. I have a statement. I just wanted to say, especially since this council was so recent to last one, thank you everyone for dedicating your time to like come out to these and just give your thoughts and opinions. It really means a lot. And for some of you that might not, you know, be fully understand how council runs, yeah, it is sometimes very confusing. Just take, for example, like saying frosh or saying like nerds. So obviously you don't have to speak the first time you attend. On that topic as well, I just wanted to say, Evan, I believe that was your first time giving the AMS report. So I just wanted to say good job. That was a very well done report. And we have our Sci21 and Sci23 AMS reps, as David just pointed out. And so I will be probably reaching out to the AMS reps just to organize us for when we do attend assembly. But yeah, other than that, thank you everybody for coming out, like for attending council tonight.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And also I agree, Evan, that was a very, very, very good report. Director Wright.
Thomas Wright, Director of Governance. President Lee put it perfectly there. I'd just like to piggyback on that and apologize for the somewhat irregular schedule that you've all had to deal with. As I put last council, I had some hoops to jump through between like scheduling assembly and the budget. Moving forward, we are going to be on a more regular schedule. We have a bit of a break between councils now where everyone can collect themselves and sort of relax for a bit. So again, thank you for bearing with me. And I look forward to improving on a council in the future. Personally, I think we've had a great improvement since last council already.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Seeing no other discussion, I will entertain a motion to close council.
Yeah.
Motion to close council.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Awesome. Great. That's it. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. We have to vote on that, right? Actually, we do have to vote on that. Silly speaker. Thank you very much. Motion passes. Council is adjourned. Thank you all for your time tonight, and I will see you next time.
Have a good night.
Night.